straight into our next session. And Anthony, you're in the spotlight again. So we started the afternoon talking about the strategies and what we need to do to get out of the crisis mode and to capitalize and grow, to reignite. Mm-hmm. In that conversation, there was a lot of talk about technology and what is happening. The next generation is growing up and doing things quite differently. So that technology conversation now went into the stage that was set by Sana and some of the things that we discussed, including we have to be more aware of things like data privacy. 20 years ago, that was never an issue. Now it is a core part of how we need to manage our risks in order to be able to move forward. So Anthony, you also tend to speak very passionately, not only about technology and the risks involved, but about the leadership requirement, because we can have the resources, we can have the technology, and we can educate the people. We can have all the fantastic goals and the technology supporting the goals. Where are we when the leadership is not where we need it to be? So we want, if I can invite you now, Anthony, to kind of take the technology conversation into the need for risk governance and leadership together with your fellow panelists who will be taking the conversation a little more in depth and exploring. So Anthony, if I may invite you to start that, to set the stage for that conversation. Thank you.
Sure. And thanks a lot, Natasha. So you're quite right. I have a serious passion around leadership. And I see Ken has joined us, and we have had many drinks on tables talking about that, right, Ken?
That's for sure.
So let's study the dynamics in terms of the situational context, and I'm hearing, a lot of people talking about digital transformation and COVID and digital transformation. Digital transformation existed before COVID.
Hello?
Are you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
All right, but what COVID has done is basically just amplify the need for it. Okay, and Gartner had a symposium which I attended, and I found that they said it very nicely, is that because of COVID, the way you're going to be operating with people now is going to change. All right, because you need that whole context of digitalization. And in fact, they broke it down into three main domains. One is people centricity. So while people talk about, automation and digital technology is going to do away with people, that I don't believe that's the case. People will always be the center of these systems and delivery of those systems. The other one is the location independence, because we all know because of COVID, we have a big shift in terms of distributed workforce, linking with suppliers other parts of the world. So that whole issue of using technology innovation is going to talk about that issue about how do we interact with our key components within our supply chain and our value chain. And then the other dynamic is resilient delivery. What we have seen, and in terms of our own company, is the companies that had invested in technology and innovation are the ones that were able to quickly pivot to manage the issues around COVID. Okay? So that is one dynamic we need to look at. Now, what happens because you're pushing technology in a particular way, you're going to basically increase your risk. Because as I said before, the traditional parameter of which you operate and the security around those parameters are now moving out. So therefore, your risk profile as a company is going to change. You're going to be having a high level of operational risk. Unfortunately, one of the things that we are seeing is that not enough attention is being paid around information security and data privacy, which comes back to my point I always raise is effective governance, corporate governance. And the whole element of governance is basically to apply certain norms, system solutions, and controls to manage the strategy of an organization. A subset of that corporate governance, the one that most companies strive on, is financial governance. But there are other subsets as well. Enterprise risk management, governance. In information technology governance, because if you want to utilize technology, you need to have a framework to manage around that. And inside that, IT governance will be data governance as well. And then information security governance, because your technology needs to align to your strategies and your security needs to align to your technology. So therefore, there needs to be a shift in the leadership in the Caribbean to understand, one, the importance of governance, but also understand the subsets and the role of information security and data privacy in that space. Now, one of the things that I've been reviewing in terms of the Caribbean, Trinidad has the road to recovery. I heard a speech given by the Prime Minister from Barbados, who I really think is visionary, is that you're using ICT in a big way to enable certain government services. So therefore, you're pushing towards what is called a digital economy or a digital society. That means you're going to have digital, we call e-identification, e-signatures, movement of citizens' data. So data privacy has to play a key part. And in all fairness, I've listened a lot, but I've not seen the importance of data privacy presented itself in some of these discussions. So I think leaders in any government sector need to pay particular attention, because you're moving to that trust towards innovation, leveraging technology. Now, there's another element we need to understand, and as I shared before, the cyber risk is prevailing. It's a reality. And as digital evolves and technology evolves, cyber risk is going to exist. It's not going to move away. So your ability to manage around that is so critical. And again, you need that shift. You need that level of thinking, all right, in terms of why is this so important. And again, I want to come back to that whole issue about governance, because we have been part of certain evaluations of particular entities, and sometimes you don't see information security governance, and in some cases, unfortunately, you don't see enterprise risk management. So I just want to close off to the team, and there's a presentation I submitted to Natasha, which obviously that you could share with the panel and by extension your viewers. There's something I always ask members of boards that I interact with, or CEOs, and in some cases CFOs. And I always ask, do you know what are your critical assets? Do you understand what are your critical systems that support you or support your environment? Do you know if any of them were to go down, what the implications would be? Do you know how effective is your enterprise risk management framework and program? Do you have an information security program? All right. Do you know basically how your BCP works? So if you have to recover and the length of time it will take. I mean, the previous discussion, Sina spoke about that. How effective is your incident response and your ability to recover your services based on a predefined RTO or RPO? Okay, and what is the level of maturity within your organization as it relates to privacy by design and security by design? Because if you want to move into that innovative space, you have to make sure that everything you do has to have a security context, has to have a privacy context, all right? And how do you define that and shape that? And I mean, I don't want to spend too much time because I really would like us to have the discourse as a team. But one of the things that I believe it comes about leadership shift, a leadership thinking. We talk about critical thinking, and I'm hearing some pros and cons. I'm a firm believer in critical thinking, because critical thinking is analysis based on facts to make a defined judgment. And enterprise risk management offers that capability, but they need to have a shift in thinking. And while I was really, really pleasantly surprised from Minister Gonzalez's opening speech this morning, and I do wish him well. Those of you who may be around my age will remember Gordon Draper, who basically had a mandate. I see Wayne smiling. Had a mandate with basically to improve the public sector. In fact, he did a paper on that. If you guys could get hold of that paper that talks about the future of the public sector and the leadership development within the public sector. I'm not too sure how that went, but just from somebody using the public sector, I know that didn't go down too well. All right, so it needs a massive shift in thinking moving forward, and there's where leadership comes into play. And I'll tell you why it needs a massive shift, and it comes back to what the MP said before. The fact that you can have a technology, and I know it was just a parallel that he's raising in terms of number of approvals, in terms of the public sector. Sometimes you have to make major decisions that's going to disrupt your political base for the greater good of the country. Okay, so I want to close off with that. I want to take the opportunity, Ken, to acknowledge you and your team. I think this is a fantastic forum, and I hope we see many more. And I look forward to active discussion on leadership and governance.